Hi, I'm Cullen, and I'm here with my good friend Chris. This is his old, restored Chris Craft Commander. This is an absolutely gorgeous boat. Chris, can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like what year, what length?
It's a 1971 47-foot Commander. So they made three sizes of the big Commanders: 47, 55, and 60. They only made like 10 of the 60s to what I always wanted, but you can't find them. So this is.
How awesome would it be if you were able to find one of those?
There was one for sale, and I got outbid.
Really?
It was in Tennessee. Yeah, it's still
man,
there.
That must have been heartbreaking. Was that before or after you had
It was
this
before
one?
I bought this one.
Oh, wow.
I was shopping, but I bought this about 5 years ago, and spent the rest of the time restoring it.
Oh, that's so great. So how long does it take to get to this point? Is it the full 5 years?
The full 5 years. Yeah.
Wow. And you think the process will ever really end, or is it always continuous?
I rebuilt both engines. I put a new generator in. I've done new electronics. Need some paint touch-up work. It's always something. The short answer to your question is no. It never ends. It just gets a little better.
Oh, yeah, man. I can already see how much work and effort and love has gone into this boat. Like, stepping onto the first time, it was like going back 45 years.
Yours looks pretty good too, man.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
One day I need to have you on there. We'll go out for a cruise. It's going to be amazing. So you already had the 60-foot Commander in mind.
Correct.
What drew you to the Commander line and Chris Craft in general? What was the draw there?
This is my fourth Chris Craft.
Really?
So I had a Lancer. I had a 32-foot Constellation, which was wood, and that was a nightmare.
Yeah. Wow.
I had a 37-foot steel Roamer, which was less of a nightmare, but still a nightmare.
Awesome.
And then
they
I
also
decided
made those in aluminum hold.
They did, and I didn't really know enough to know the difference.
Yeah.
Aluminum lasts forever.
Yep.
In salt water, whereas unfortunately steel does not. So
Gotcha.
got rid of that one and decided I'm going fiberglass next time because the maintenance is so much better.
I don't blame you. There was one more. It was.
I had a Lancer, I had a Constellation, I had a Roamer, and then this is my fourth one, which is the Commander.
Wow.
I did have a Sea Ray Express Cruiser in the middle there, but
Gotcha. And moving up in length every time, or jumping around?
now moving up, yeah.
Nice.
Oh, you always want a bigger boat.
Oh, true.
As soon as you buy a bigger one, you fill it up with more crap, and then you want a bigger one. So it's kind of how it goes.
What's the biggest adventure that you've had on this boat, or really in any of your Chris Craft adventures? How far have you taken one of these boats, and what's the biggest adventure you've had?
I bought this in Miami, and so bringing it up here was really frustrating. Actually, the first 3 days were just bridges.
Wow.
So the hurricane had just
in and wait and
yeah. Well, and even down there, you can't call and open them. It's not like up here. They they're not synced up, and they open either on the half hour or on the hour.
Oh, so it's just waiting ahead.
Yes. So you'll get to the next one just in time to wait another hour. And that happens, for the first, I'd say, 100 miles of the trip, and 80 miles, something like that. Once you get north of Palm Beach, like almost to Fort Pierce, you have your last drawbridge, and after that, they're all high-rise bridges.
Wow.
And even when there are drawbridges, they're not like on the sync or the time system. You can just call.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a total pain. It was 5 days, of which 3.5 were just bridges in South Florida.
Man. Because you were going up the intercoastal?
Correct.
Gotcha.
We couldn't go outside. A hurricane had just come through.
Yeah.
It would have been. I guess we could have, but everything in the boat will be on the floor, and it's not fun.
Oh, and when you first get a new boat, like you know about it, but you don't know how much to trust it, and so you're testing your waters the whole time. Man.
I had nothing but problems too, so I'm glad we didn't break down. I lost an engine, yeah.
So what's the biggest repair that you've had to do on the engines?
I rebuilt both of them. Did end frames. Yeah.
Wow.
So new pistons, new liners, new rods, new valves, new everything.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Every moving part in the engine except for, I want to say the camshafts and the crankshaft look brand new, so I didn't change those. Like I had them, scoped, but or rather put on a gauge.
The right way to do it. That's really I just rebuilt mine as much as I could.
I watched your video.
I took out the camshaft, everything. It's nowhere near as extensive as yours. I wish that someday I'm able to go as deeply as you did and do that, because that's really amazing.
I didn't have a choice, so I had an oil line that blew underway. And the boat's got alarm bells that cost a grand total of like $49 each. And so they'd been broken since I bought the boat, and I had meant to replace it. I kicked myself to this day. So oil line blows, and I didn't notice it because there's no alarm for the oil pressure. A light comes on, but I didn't hear it, and I wouldn't pay. Anyway, whatever.
Look, you're not gonna see it.
By the time I noticed it, I'd already damaged the engine. So
that's a pain. Oh. So
Yeah.
when you realized that you had like been driving on low oil or low oil pressure.
Yeah, I shut it down at that point, but it was too late. Like when I went to go start it up even after we'd repaired it, the compression had become low. It like scored the cylinder liners,
Yeah.
and at that point,
Wow.
you just have to do an in-frame.
And then you rebuilt it, and they're better
Yeah.
than probably they have been in 30, 40 years, right?
Yeah, well, they ran really well when I got them.
Yeah.
And then so that happened, and then after I rebuilt the first one, it made more power than the other one. They weren't matched.
Yeah.
And so then I ended up redoing the second one. It's like a 7-8 month process because it was down in Daytona, and Daytona boat repair is you're lucky if they show up at all.
There's a long line ahead of you.
Yeah.
Most of them with much bigger budgets.
It's not like Jacksonville. Up here, if something breaks, you call the marina Monday, like XYZ broke. You come back the next weekend to take the boat out, and it's fixed. You get a bill in the mail a month later. There's no drama. It is not like that in Volusia County. So yeah.
Man, well, I'm glad you brought it up here though, because
Me too. I really enjoyed it.
This is, I think, a really good place for boating of this length and style because you've got the river. But if you want to take it one step further, then of course you've got St. Augustine and you've got the intercoastal. And if you're feeling really adventurous, you can go out into the ocean. But I don't know if I'm ever going to do that.
I've had this out in the ocean.
Really?
It handles really well. It's a very stable platform
That's awesome.
for a planing hull. Like it's more stable than most.
Was that just to get like a feeling for what it was like, or was it to go someplace?
That's when I had down in Daytona. I just went offshore, and it's fun to go out and then look back at the beach.
That's amazing.
I had a bunch of people on board, just kicking around. It's all I ever use it for is fun.
Yeah, oh, that's so great.
I don't fish. I'm a weirdo because it hurts the fish. I hate seeing them bleed, even if I throw them back. Like,
Yeah, me too. Like people ask me when they hear that about a boat. Oh, we need to go fishing sometime. I'm like, I don't really like fishing.
yeah, me either.
You can like the boats without liking the fishing and stuff. So what do you think is the best upgrade that you've made to the boat? Because you've done a lot besides just the restoration and rebuilding the engines. Like, what's the best thing that you've done to the boat besides all that?
Autopilot.
Autopilot?
Like by far, yeah. Absolutely the best money I've spent on the boat.
Oh, that's awesome.
Because I can walk around and drink and talk to my guests and I don't have to be at the wheel the entire time if I don't want to be, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Especially in the river because it's like 3 miles wide. Like you're not gonna hit anything. So.
If you're gonna get close to the side, you're gonna realize it.
I have Raymarine, so like it'll actually auto route for you if you want it to. I don't generally do that. Like I'm a micromanager. I usually just set the course manually and change the wheel. But in theory, if you wanted to, you can plot your course out and it'll follow the course the whole way to where you're going. It won't like dock or anything for you, obviously, but it'll and it doesn't control the throttles, but it'll steer.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I like it. My next best thing I'm gonna do, the second best money I'll have ever spent is Spurs. Those little things that go on your prop shaft, so if you get a rope wrapped around it, it cuts it.
Oh, I've
All the
seen
damn
that.
crab traps around here, like they put them right in the
That's
middle
true.
of the channel. Yeah, like I'm always dodging them, and I'm really getting tired
So
of
like
it.
sucks the rope in around the shaft and then snips it off. So it like
Correct. It's if it otherwise would have bound your shaft up, it'll hit the spur thing and cut it.
yeah.
As opposed to seizing your prop shaft, which
So you're able to go like straight down the river. Don't really even care.
you could if you had those. Yeah. I mean, I'd still dodge them if I saw them.
Oh,
I'm just always worried about the one I don't see, and they're really not respectful. They put them right in the middle of the channel. No joke.
Yeah. So a lot of people are drawn into like living on the water, or at least experiencing the water for the freedom, or just for the adventure. What draws you into that?
I got my first boat when I was 8. My dad always had boats when I was growing up. My granddad had boats, and just I don't know, fell in love with it. It's
Yeah.
always been a hobby of mine, that and golf.
So you got bit by the bug early on.
Exactly.
That was it was done for.
Correct. Yeah. As they say, that you'll never be able to afford a drug habit or hookers because you have a boat. It's too expensive. So it keeps you out of trouble in a sense, right?
Oh man. So do you have any advice for people who might want to like go up to a bigger size boat or maybe buy their very first boat? Do you have any advice for people looking to do that?
Yeah, it's really expensive to do what I did and start with a smaller one, then get a slightly bigger one, and a slightly bigger one, and a slightly bigger one. By the time you're done with it, and you bring all of those up to the condition you want them to be in, you've spent an almighty fortune that's depressing to think about.
Oh,
so
man.
just buy your first boat last. If you got kids or you got a minimum of 2, 4, 6 people you're going to take out whenever you go, and you need a certain size for that, which this is a perfect size.
This is amazing size.
Then yeah, just buy this first. Skip the 4 or 5 in between, and you'll save so much money. That would be if I had to pass one thing along from learning the hard way, it would be that.
That's awesome. I would not have thought about that because a lot of times I think about my experience. I'm like, well, there's so much I could have learned in a less stressful environment. But at the same time, by having that pressure to do it right and to do it well, it's kind of made me learn a lot faster than I might have otherwise, and it's turned out very well so far.
And don't knock yourself. The bigger the boat, the easier it is to drive.
Yeah.
Especially with twin engines. So, like if you had a little 20-footer, it actually is more difficult to dock than this is.
Really?
You can control these very precisely. Yeah, a couple of things. Once you get up to about 40,000 pounds in weight, the boat tends to just sit there until you use the engines to move it. Current and wind have less effect, although they still have an effect. And then, part two, it's just a lot less, is twin engines. I mean, you can maneuver that thing, So, yeah, you probably, you did the right thing.
Gotcha.
You would have wanted a bigger boat anyway.
That's probably true.
So.
Especially since I'm living on it.
Exactly.
I need
Yeah.
enough space.
38 feet's pretty big, but it'll start feeling small after a year or two.
Yeah, I mean,
So.
I've already been on it for a year, and there's some things like I wish I had a better front area like this, because mine is very utilitarian. It's just the anchor and the pulpit.
Well, that's the best seat in the house up here.
Really is.
Everybody loves this, yeah.
I'm wondering now if I could do anything like this on my front windshield.
I'd have to look. You probably could.
Yeah.
There's glass back here. That's got a windshield
Yeah,
behind
I've
there.
seen that. So this is just a really interesting design. I wonder, they must have designed it like this to be a seat.
I got this off another Commander, believe it or not,
Really?
that was for sale up in the Great Lakes. And then the guy bought it, Brad Kingarten. He's a friend of mine on Facebook. He sailed it all the way down here, and then I got killed by that hurricane. He'd had it less than a year that just came through the Panhandle. So,
Wow.
But his boat, back when it was for sale, I got the broker to go measure these things for me as a favor, and then I had my guy recreate the cushions because I like so much what they did.
Yeah, this is awesome. So any exciting future plans with this boat?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to Key West, probably the Bahamas.
That's
We
gonna
like
be
to
so awesome.
cruise. So,
That
yeah.
65-mile jump off to the Bahamas.
It's nothing. You get down to like Fort Pierce or Palm Beach and then cross over, and it's a day.
Wow.
Yeah, it can get a little rough, but once you're there, it's nice. And I can't think anywhere else you can go in that amount of time or distance that's cool in a foreign country, and it's just
Yeah.
nice. So
I don't think we touched on it, but actually, what kind of engines are these?
it's got Detroit diesel 8V53s,
Wow.
which are kind of a rare one as far as Detroits go. It's a small, it's the smallest of their large block diesels, and I like them. They're naturals, so they'll go 5,000-10,000 hours really without major problems. The turbocharged ones you get less life out of.
Yeah. And finally, and this might be the hardest question yet, but if you could summarize your boating experience on this Commander in just a couple of words, what would it be? Something like, this is the perfect river cruising boat, or maybe the perfect weekend getaway. How do you feel about this boat?
It's really versatile. I use it for everything. Birthday parties, just hanging out with friends, going out to dinner. You go to the river and just cut the engines and float. Yeah, it's really relaxing. It's a great way to social distance nowadays. It's the big thing, and really just like the perfect hobby. I love it.
Thank you so much, Chris. This has been amazing.
No, thank you for coming.
Every second I spend on this boat is like in another dimension. It's so great. So let's get out on the water. Let's get cruising.
All right, 10-4.
Let's do it.
All right.